Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be watching a video called Formula One Cars Explained for Rookies with Max Verstappen. So I'm guessing it's a video with a Formula One driver, I think. It's explained for rookies, which I love because I'm a rookie. I don't really know much about it. And I can't wait to find this out because I love that. I'm guessing it's going to be like very like for dummies, which incredible. Love that. And we're probably going to be seeing like how the cars are built, which I love because I don't really know much about it. And I'm super curious because I know that they're very particular cars. I know that drivers are really like in a very weird position. Like they're not like sitting in like an actual, in like when you sit like in an actual car when there's like a seat and stuff. They're very small from what I've been able to see is like a very small car. They're tiny. And you have to be like, I don't know, almost like standing, like you're sitting down, but you can't like your legs are not sort of like, it's not like you're sitting in a chair. You're almost like, I don't know. It's like you're like in a weird position. And also I think they don't have, I know they have a wheel, but I don't know if they have pedals. So I don't really know much about it, but I know it's like weird cars and it's not like a regular car. It's so funny because I don't think they had rear view mirrors, but I believe, because I'm like, well, they don't really have rear mirrors, but I was seeing like one of those videos and they did have like, they were like screenshot one like rear view mirror, and I'm like, where's the rear view mirror? So, but it makes sense because you have to like see like, hey, you have to like see if someone's like passing you by. But it's funny to think that they have rear mirrors. It's not like they have to like park or something. But yeah, I'm super curious to see like how they're actually like built, and it's gonna be explained by one of the race car drivers. I'm guessing he's either I'm pretty sure he's like a race car driver, right? So I can't wait, super excited. Let's get to it, and comment, like, subscribe, and start.
Speeding and
all lines up. Brand new season, brand new dawn for Formula One.
I'm looking at the brand new car for the #1 team of the
it's the brand new car for that one particular
sport, Formula One, with the current world champion.
Oh, he's the current
Max
world
Verstappen.
champion.
Would you like to come and see the car?
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're going to show
Yes.
you what it takes to build and drive some of the fastest and most expensive cars in the world.
It's so expensive,
because the
it's
thing
true.
is, these aren't just cars. Think of them instead as epic group science projects
It's
where
true.
10 teams all fight to be first.
it's just
and
10.
on every team, there are hundreds of people spending millions of
No
dollars,
doubt, yeah.
all working together to push technology to its limit. In this video, I'm going to give you rare access into the factory in England where they build these cars, and into a garage in Bahrain where they race them. This is Formula One cars.
But they're all made in England, or is this like what that particular sort of like team builds them in England? Or is it like mandated that you have to like do it there? Oh, those are all the Aston Martin.
I am on my way to the Red Bull factory. We're going to get into some of the nitty-gritty engineering details, but we're also going to talk about the basics of a Formula One car. This is Jack. Jack's going to get us into all of the secret rooms.
Oh, of course it's gonna be like secret. Because I'm guessing all the teams don't know what the other is doing.
So Cleo, welcome to Red Bull.
Oh, all the trophies.
I don't even know what to say. This is badass.
Yeah.
What should I look at?
Everything, and that's the purpose of it. The reason why we have this here is so that when people arrive for work, they know what they're here to do, which is to win trophies, yeah.
Okay, yes, love it. It's very great motivation.
So these are all race-driven cars from our history in the sport. Starting on the left-hand side with our first car, and then finishing on the right-hand side with the RB16B, the 2021 championship winning car.
When did they start? How many years have they been? How many models? See, the cars are so
the RB7
small.
actually isn't here. And the reason for that is we do crazy things with the car. So
Because they're building on it.
donut on the top of the skyscraper. We've done a pit stop in zero gravity.
Can I touch it?
A pit stop in zero gravity, what?
It's so beautiful.
The driver actually has to spend about 3 or 4 hours sat down in the car getting their seat fitted. So we sit them in some clay, essentially,
Clay.
and they sort of get the seat formed around them.
A Formula One car
my God, it has
looks
to be
kind of similar
perfect.
to other race cars that you might have seen, like these in IndyCar. Single seat, open cockpit, but there's something that makes a Formula One car special.
What
in
is it?
IndyCar, all of the cars have to use the same frame or chassis. So winning really depends on how you race that car. But in Formula One, each team has to design and manufacture their own cars. So winning starts here at the factory with
When
how
you get
you
into
build
design.
your car. But you can't just build whatever you want.
We design a car based on the regulations that the FIA and
Okay,
F1
yeah.
provide us. And so that really stipulates how the cars look, what shapes they are.
That's the formula in Formula One. Teams fight to find the best design within these rules.
The
Yeah, of
incredible
course,
thing
there's
with
some
Formula One for
guidelines
me
you
is
have
that
to
you have
follow.
10 teams that come together to race. They've all designed and built their own individual car, but you arrive at the track and everybody's within, a second of each other over a lap, which is
Yeah.
quite incredible in itself. But the only way that you gain an advantage in Formula One when the margins are so slim is to look at every area that you can possibly can to eke performance.
The rules
Yeah,
say that
to, like,
each
1
team can
second,
spend
it's
$135 million per year, minus driver salaries. I know
my
that sounds
God.
like a lot, but in the race to win, it means that every decision needs to get the best bang for the buck.
The amount of,
course, but it's so
engineering that
expensive.
goes into building these cars is next level. We're using many of the same techniques, many of the same technologies that NASA or SpaceX would use to
NASA?
design their rockets. We apply them to designing our own rocket that goes around a racetrack.
So
It
this
is
is
sort
the
of
public
like the same thing.
display room. Now we're going into the secret. What do we call this room?
The warehouse.
The warehouse.
Where's what's okay? What is in
Yeah,
the
this
warehouse?
feels cooler.
Okay, they have another car. What is that?
Who are these cars?
So these are a variety of different cars from throughout history. There's some show cars, but also some race cars.
Oh my God, look at the white
this
one.
Is so cool.
There's like a white one
Can I
that looks
walk
so
here?
particular.
I have a question. You're gonna say no. Can I sit right there?
Yes.
He didn't say no.
Oh, okay. He was like,
Be
yeah,
really
you can do
careful
it.
not to nail your head on the banister above as you get up.
Welcome to my crib.
Every Formula One team's goal is to create the two fastest cars possible within the rules.
Two.
So their two drivers can
Oh, they
beat
have
the
two
other
drivers.
teams around different shaped tracks all around the world, racking up points to win the Constructors' Championship. And for the last 2 years, the team that has done that is Red Bull.
Oh, they won
By
2 in a row.
A lot. Here are the winners of every race last year. And here's Red Bull. Yeah. So how do they do it? What makes a winning Formula One car? This is the car that won all of those races. And this is one of the aerodynamicists who helped design it.
So this
Yeah,
is
one of the
RB19.
many
This is last year's car
engineers.
that obviously was incredibly successful and we're all very proud of.
A winning Formula One car needs to do two things.
Be
Make
fast.
super quick turns and go extremely
Yeah.
fast in a straight line. The challenge is that the things that make a car very good at one make it harder to be great at the
Of
other.
course,
The
yes.
team that can design the car that
Because
does
of
both
physics.
the best takes home the trophy. Let me explain. First, to make a quick turn, you need a strong grip on the ground.
Going back to pure fundamentals, what we want to do is generate what's called downforce.
More
What's
downforce
downforce?
means stronger grip, which means quicker turns. So how do you create more force down? Think of a Formula One car like an airplane upside down. On a plane, the air moving across the wings lifts it up. But here, the air across the car forces it down.
So that is where the air
Okay.
literally sucks the car into the ground.
Oh,
To get
cool.
it to
You get
suck,
to get a
you
grip.
need higher pressure above the car and lower pressure below. And one way to get lower pressure air is to get it moving really fast.
Low pressure is effectively high velocity air. So you want to be able to speed up the air as much as you possibly can under the floor and effectively slow it down as much as you can on top of the floor.
Here's the part I think is really cool. A good way to get fast, lower pressure air isn't for it to just shoot under the car in a straight line. It's to create tiny tornadoes under the car. They don't
how do
say
you do
tiny
that?
tornado though. They say vortex.
A highly
Okay,
powerful
vortex.
vortex. That in itself generates a lot of low pressure because it's a structure that
High velocity air.
those structures then run down the length of the floor and they generate low pressure for a very long region.
So they have all these tiny tornadoes that help suck the car toward the ground to give it better grip to make faster turns. At top speed, a Formula One car generates a downforce 3 or 4 times the weight of the car.
Oh my God,
Meaning
that's
this car could
insane.
theoretically drive on the ceiling. But all of this downforce
Drive on the
comes at a
ceiling.
cost. To go super fast in a straight line, you need to knife through the air with as little drag as possible. But as you create more downforce,
It normally comes with added drag, which is preventing the
So
car
you can't
moving
go that
through the
fast
air.
in a straight
So it's a
line.
resistive force.
for example, look at this back wing. It generates downforce on the turns, but it feels like a big parachute slowing the car down in a straight line, which is
Oh, of
why
course.
Formula One teams are allowed to build in a control that the driver can press to flip part of that wing down,
Oh, wow,
allowing
they
the
can
car
do
to
that?
zoom down the straights even faster. This is called the drag reduction system, or
Oh my
DRS.
God.
Designing a winning Formula One car means balancing all of these
I didn't know
different
that you could, like,
things, pushing
modify the
rules
car.
and the limits of physics to get a little more grip and a little more speed.
This is a question that I'm sure you're gonna say no to. Is there any chance
you get
in
in?
hell that I can sit in this car?
I don't think that's up to me, but
Jack?
You can sit in the car.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't know like how you sit on it.
While you're in the car. Pop that on. We'll get you in the car. See how you look being a Formula One driver.
It's gotta be so uncomfortable. They don't look.
How are you
It doesn't
feeling
look
in that clear?
comfortable.
This is so cool. Let me just describe what this feels
Yeah.
like. My legs are above my butt, so I'm sitting like that. My legs are like that, and my back is
Oh my
here
God,
like that.
see, it's
So
so
I feel
strange.
sort of vulnerable. My entire field of view is what's happening in here. I'm getting more and more claustrophobic as I talk to you, which is interesting. The idea of going 200 miles an hour in this car is terrifying.
It
and
is.
I can't
I
believe
have no idea. Yeah, I'm with her. I'm like, I can't believe it. That the
I
point
have
of view is
totally no
insane.
appreciation for what this feels like. The butt, I have to admit, is quite comfortable. This is clearly crafted for someone's butt. Max Verstappen's butt, apparently.
That is actually going to come up in my conversation with Max Verstappen, but more on that in a minute. Eventually, I had to get out of my dream car.
Yeah, because it's
now
not
that we've learned the
comfortable.
design goals of a Formula One car, it's time to see how they actually make it.
Oh yeah, okay. So the
As every
building
team
part.
works on designing their cars, they're constantly testing those designs in computer simulations, in physical rigs that mimic a moving car, and in big
Oh, they have,
wind
like,
tunnels.
rigs.
One of my favorite details is because Formula One limits how much teams are allowed to test full-size cars in a wind tunnel, they build these little 60% scale versions of their cars and test those. One reason that Formula One cars are so light and fast and strong is that basically every part of the car that you can see is made of a material 10 times stronger than steel, but half the weight. Carbon fiber.
Aren't those what cars are made of?
Do you
Like
have a
normal
piece of
cars are
carbon
made of
fiber?
that?
Whoa, cool.
I admit this is quite a substantial block.
Can I hold it? How heavy is this? Oh, it's heavier than I thought.
You
Oh,
can see
really?
the
It looks
structure
heavy.
If you look on the side, so that's when it's layered up.
Why is this material used so often throughout the car?
With its strength to weight ratio being so good, it means that you can make it extremely light whilst it retaining a lot of structure and a lot of strength.
So it's
if you hold it
perfect.
up, you can actually see light through it there. So it does have a sort of
Oh my
fabric
God, it is true. I
quality
can
to
see it.
Woven carbon.
To create the carbon fiber parts that they need, teams manufacture patterns in the right shapes and then lay down carbon fiber cloth, sometimes in 100 layers.
Wow.
Then they suck all the air out and shove them into basically a pressure cooker to
Oh my
squeeze the
God.
layers together with resin.
Oh my God, this is incredible.
Then they cut and measure those carbon fiber pieces and other metal parts with huge programmable machines.
It looks like it's getting a milk bath.
The whiteness is down to the additive that gets added to the water to make sure it doesn't rust the machine.
I don't know if you can
Oh.
fully appreciate how big this is, but there are dozens of these boxes.
Yeah, because it has so many
in
little
this
pieces.
massive room in front of us. All of the parts for the RB20, the new Red Bull car, are being manufactured in this room right now in these white boxes. Pretty cool. Any chance I can look in?
I can imagine so, yes. I think it's more about not getting it on camera.
For the metal parts of the
Oh,
car, which
yeah,
kind of
like,
metal
you
they
can
use
do
depends on
record
what
it.
they need it to do.
Okay, so this is aluminum, or aluminium as he's calling it. So this is a lot of what the car is made out of.
We use aluminium throughout the build of the car for certain parts and components,
Okay.
which is generally light, fairly strong.
Do you want to try that one? It is quite...
Holy cow!
It's so heavy,
It's hard
right?
to show visually how different these objects are, except maybe how much I'm trying to hold. I could probably do 20 reps like this until my arm
Oh my
fell
God, yeah,
off.
it's like a
this
weight.
is very heavy.
So that's dense cement, which is an alloy which we use to add weight to the car. We sometimes add weight into the car when the driver isn't up to weight, so we have to have a
Oh,
minimum
the
weight to
driver.
car. So we'll use tiny strips of
Oh my
this
God,
throughout
they have to
car
weigh the
to
driver.
car up to weight.
There are thousands of pieces that make up a Formula One car, and after they're designed and molded and machined, some of them need to get painted.
all of them. Oh my god, yeah, they have to paint all of them.
The paint job
It
on a
is, like,
Formula
painted
One
by
car is a
hand.
big deal to fans, especially the moment that it's released and they see the car for the first
Okay,
time. And
so it's
teams spend a
important.
lot of effort to design something that's gonna look beautiful.
Cool. Yeah,
The
it's
paint
gonna look
isn't
cool.
just to be pretty, it's gotta go fast. For example, a lot of the sponsor logos that you'll see on these cars aren't stickers, because even that tiny little edge would create unwanted drag.
Oh my god, yeah, because of the glue.
Watching these cars get built, it's just astonishing to me how much detail and
It's
design
insane.
and effort goes into the finished car that we see on track.
Oh, the engine. Yeah,
Now
I'm
we're
guessing
heading
this is
to
the most
secret
important
room
part.
yet, where this team is building their new engine.
This is one of the world's most advanced engine development facilities. This isn't just an engine, this is a Formula One engine.
Right now,
Okay.
Red Bull buys engines for their cars from Honda, but
Oh, they
that's about
buy
to
it.
change. In 2026, Red Bull's cars will use their own custom engines that they're working on
Oh.
right now, and we're about to be one of the first to go see it.
Okay, so they're
This
building their
building
own
here
engine.
wasn't here. Two years ago in June was our first engine. And when you see the workshops, you'll see what we've been doing. It's pretty impressive.
Why does it matter to build a Formula One engine yourself?
Control and the tie-in between the chassis and the engine is paramount, really. You know, you have a better working together, your aerodynamics.
Yeah, you're
and
responsible for the
all
whole
that side
thing.
of it is the way to win.
This
Yeah,
team's
but
big.
you're
bet
already
is that
winning
they
without
invest
it.
a ton of money and time into a custom engine. They can eke a little bit more speed and control out of their car. Of
course,
and
you're not
ultimately
outsourcing
win
it.
more races.
Can you hear me? Okay. So what's happening right now is I'm in the super secret engine room, but we can't actually show anything close to the new engine. But I'm standing in front of
it's
the real
secret.
Formula One engines. I just can't show them to you. They're gonna hate me. Okay, so this is the engine that I can show you. We can show you. And the reason why little bits are covered up is that those are the secret parts that you're not allowed to see. If I'm working on a Formula One team, working on an engine, what is the goal? Is it maximum power, smallest size? Is it light?
Power, you want as much power as possible because the driver will ask for more power. Now, even if he's got the most powerful engine, he will want
Of
more.
course.
Understand
Oh,
why
they all
this
want
engine
more.
is so cool. Let me explain how the engine in your car works and how it compares. Okay, so
Please
your car
explain it.
probably has a 4-stroke internal combustion engine, and a Formula One car does too, which means there's a cylinder, and inside there's a piston that goes down, up, in 4 strokes. In the first
Okay.
one, air and fuel rush into the chamber. Then they get compressed and the pressure builds. Then a spark ignites the mix and it explodes, shoving the piston down and turning a set of gears, generating mechanical movement that turns the wheels of the car. Then the piston lifts back up and pushes the remaining gas out. That whole
Okay, this is
process
very
happens inside
complicated.
one cylinder, and there are 6 of them in a V shape, which is why it's called a V6
Oh,
engine.
that's what they
Your
call
car might have
V6.
anywhere from 4 to 8, depending on what you drive. But one big difference between your car and a Formula One car is the maximum number of cycles, that down, up, each engine can complete per minute. Your car, about 6,000. A Formula One car, over 15,000. That contributes to more power to
Oh, you
go
go
faster.
faster.
Plus, these cars combine a bunch of other technologies to get a little bit more oomph, like a turbocharger, which compresses air
What's
before it
that?
enters the cylinder, so it packs more punch when it's then lit on fire. And a motor and battery system that repurposes energy from the brakes and exhaust. The whole thing altogether is the powertrain of a modern Formula One car. It's a great example of why Formula One cars actually matter for people like you and me. It's not that this tech is brand new. It's that it's combined and tweaked and perfected by hundreds of smart people
And it's very
with millions of
interesting.
dollars to make it better. And those changes help inspire better car tech for all of us. The engines that they're building here are based on rules for 2026, which will use less fuel and more electricity, and therefore
Oh.
make a slightly different sound. And we got
It's gonna do a different sound.
Can you hear that? So that's the new engine running?
Correct, yeah. You're allowed to hear it, you're not allowed to see it.
Just running by, ooh. What did that noise change mean?
So it really just revved up the speed basically, and it's now going into this automated power curve. You can hear it's coming down in speed. So with every single speed, we take a measurement, next speed, measurement, next speed, measurement.
So they're testing it at different speeds, they're running power curves to see how it performs.
Oh.
And at that time, always wide open throttle, which means everything we have, right?
Now that we've seen how they build these cars, it's time to see where they race them. And that means that we need to go to Bahrain.
Oh my god, yeah, they have to all, and if they all, again, I'm so curious to see if they all have to, all the Formula One drivers have to go there, or it's just Red Bull?
Here we go.
Because it says Red Bull, but maybe all the teams have their own like little
No, I
space.
am not allowed to video any of this.
Oh yeah, you can record it.
Does this ever get old? 20 years in?
Every day is a learning day. Every day is different.
Great, love that spirit.
This is the new car, the RB20. And you might recognize these guys. Their job is to take the incredible cars that hundreds of people just built and speed them up over 200 miles an hour, facing
So
forces
fast.
sometimes greater than 5 times normal gravity, fighting off competitors to bring their team over the finish line first. These drivers are legends. Max Verstappen has been dominating Formula One recently. Remember those Red Bull
He has a
win
song?
records? Here's just Max's wins. Yeah.
All
What
of
does
them.
it feel like to drive a Formula One car?
Imagine sitting in a roller coaster and it basically just shoots off.
It's like,
But then,
like you said, it's
5 to
like a
10
roller
times
coaster.
worse, while having a steering wheel in your hands with all the buttons. Back in the day when my dad was in F1 when I was a little
Oh,
baby,
your
basically,
dad
I
was
sat
in
in it,
F1.
and it's very cute, the pictures. But the very first time that I sat in the car and I was gonna drive it myself, I was a little bit nervous. Even I, to this day, sometimes when I do that, I get this like it shoots off. You have this like kind of feeling.
Yeah.
I
Oh my
still
God,
have
so
that
interesting.
in
He
an F1
still
car
gets like
sometimes.
a little nervous, and he's like professionally like
these
doing
cars,
this for years.
Since no two drivers are the same, no two Formula One cars are quite the same either. Even for the
Oh,
same
they're
team.
not the same.
They have like a whole book of measurements for myself, from Max, so they know exactly my seat position, my pedal position, my steering position.
The seat is very important. It's a carbon seat. You're naturally in a very unnatural position.
I actually
Yeah,
got
so
to sit
uncomfortable.
in what I think was your seat in the RB19 in the factory.
It's probably a bit wide.
Actually, it was kind of a good fit.
Did I just tell world champion Max Verstappen that our butts are the same size? Anyway, here's what their steering wheel looks like. And here's
looks
one of
like
the
a
engineers who
control-
helped design it.
Like a
Would
good
a
video
steering
game
wheel
controller.
for each of the different teams look totally different?
Yeah, so they all look very different.
On every team's custom wheel, there are
Oh, it's
dozens of
custom.
buttons and knobs and switches, all meant to optimize the engine and the tires and the brakes and much more in every possible scenario, all while the driver is driving.
The drivers memorize all the buttons so they can do it without actually looking at the wheel.
Of course.
No, we're good.
He might have to go do a
Okay.
pit stop.
If I run,
At any
there's a
moment.
pit stop.
Oh,
That was
Oh,
a pit
yeah,
stop,
they should-
at
yeah.
least once every race. Every car needs to exit the track and enter their pit box, where
Yeah, they have to
roughly
change the
22
tires.
members of the pit crew swarm the car to quickly change the tires and other parts. A good pit stop is less than 2 seconds.
2
They give out a
seconds?
trophy for fastest pit stop, and when we were at the Red Bull factory, we got to see theirs. These tires just came off the car, and they are hot. Like,
of course, they're burning.
Hold on. Now it hurts. That's how hot.
I got to try stacking these tires, and
They're so heavy.
listen, they've got a really hard job.
It didn't fall.
The tire options are the same for each team. For each race, they all get a hard, medium, and soft option. Or if it's raining, 2 different types of wet tires. Your soft tires have the most grip, but they wear out the fastest. And your
Yes.
hard ones are on the opposite end of that spectrum.
They look like a worn tire.
When they say my tires are done, what do they mean?
The driver
They have
can
no-
feel when the grip is going off.
You can feel
Choosing
it,
the right
yeah.
tires at
Even
the
in
right
regular
time
cars.
is a big part of a team's race strategy.
Oh yeah, this strategy.
During a race, you'll hear drivers talking to only one person, their race
Oh, it's
engineer.
only-
But that
oh,
race
it's the race
engineer is also
engineer.
talking to a massive team of strategists, all trying to figure out the best way to
Okay.
win. Some of those strategists are at the track, but most of them are actually back at the factory in a big
What?
room.
They're
like
not even in the
this.
same place?
It looks like NASA. And the people in this room aren't just thinking up plans, they're using supercomputers to run simulations about tons of possible outcomes.
Oh my god, that's
millions even over the
insane.
course of a race, and we run them on the Oracle Cloud. So
Millions?
millions, yeah.
Those simulations
Oh
are
my
taking
God,
into
that's-
account weather and heat of the brakes and tire performance and
everything
every
else.
other driver is doing, and then feeding those simulations back
That's
to the track.
crazy.
Their aim is always to try and win a race. So that's kind of thinking about what's the best thing for you to do, but also what might your competitors do, and so how might you
You have to
need
take into account
therefore react
everything,
to
yeah.
that.
This is all real time?
Yes, exactly. So we're constantly talking. The intercom on the pit wall is constantly lighting up. There's always somebody in one of your ears. So actually the headphones have dual, so you can hear one
my
car in
God.
one ear, the other car in the other ear.
It's so
you're
chaotic.
always hearing multiple conversations, trying to take them all in. It's basically like playing a board game. That's how I always think of it.
Most complicated board game
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Winning
more complicated
Formula One
and
car
more
isn't just about the
higher
tech
stakes.
inside that car. It's also about the tech behind every move that the car makes, every lap of the race. But the thing I think is so cool is that even with all of those strategists and supercomputers and simulations, at the end of the day, it still comes down to human skill.
It's hard sometimes
Yeah.
to focus, because you have always someone on your ear.
Yeah.
asking you questions, and
He's
you are
like,
just
shut up, I'm trying to
focus
drive.
as much as possible. But you have to have that capacity, you know.
Everything that we've talked about, from design to build to paint to simulation to test, it's not just happening once. A Formula One car is never done. A team is constantly learning and changing rebuilding between every single race, over and over and over again.
In the end, one of the things that strikes me most about Formula One and Formula One cars is that they're so much like a Lego set. It really has to be all of the individual, perfectly formed pieces coming together to make a whole thing. This is a theme I've noticed with a lot of my episodes of Huge If True. Technology has always been a story of human ingenuity, but more and more, it's also the story of human collaboration. I think that's really the story of a Formula One car and the story of so much of the technology that we all enjoy. I think there's something really magical about a team of engineers and designers and strategists and athletes and all of these people coming together to build something that gets better and better and better every single time. I find a lot of hope in that. If we can build cars like these, what else can we do?
Yeah. Oh. Okay, yeah. This was a massively interesting video. I felt like I learned so much about this. It was very, very informative and very entertaining at the same time. I had no idea of so many things. Okay, first of all, I had no idea that they had there's always two drivers in the same team, and it's just 10. I don't know why I thought there were more of them. I think it's because in the racetrack it looks like so many more cars, but it's just apparently it's just 20, or maybe it's just like in that season. I'm wondering if teams can change because some new team can get in the game this year, or some of the other teams can retire. I don't know, something like that. So I don't know if it's always 10 or it's just in one particular season it was just 10. But it's such a massive operation that obviously I know it's very it's a very big thing, like I've mentioned before. It's so many people working on this, but I don't think I got the scale of it until I saw this, which is insane. It all starts with in the engineering. They have to design the car, and it's so important. I think the key and the balance is just they have to go in the corners. They have to really get a good grip, because otherwise I think obviously the car would flip. So that's why they need what they say. I think it's downforce. So okay, they need to have that, and then obviously when you're driving on a straight line, you need speed, and they have the little flaps in the back of the car that I had no idea that they could the driver can put up and put down depending on how they're feeling it and how they're sensing, oh, I need more, I need less. But I had no idea of we can modify the car. Incredible. I also didn't know, it's so funny that the whole wheel, because I was thinking I know it's detachable, but I didn't know it had so many buttons and stuff. Yeah, and it's so interesting. What he said is every team has its own custom wheel, and I'm guessing it also depends on the driver, because maybe one driver prefers, no, I want this button here, and the other one that turns the car on, I want it there, whatever. But it's custom, and so that's really interesting. And the fact that they have to memorize all the buttons. Because I was wondering about that. I was you have so many buttons that I don't know what they do, what all of them do. But obviously you need those in order to race. But how are you able to there's so many buttons here, and I'm I have to drive a car, and they're going at 300 miles, 200 miles per hour. I think that's 300 kilometers, maybe more, maybe a little bit less, but around that. So it's how do you do it when you're driving this car at those speeds? You don't really have time to go, oh, I have to press what button? No, obviously you have to memorize the thing. I had no idea I had to memorize it, but it makes so much sense. They have to be what I don't need to think about it. It's just automatic that, oh, I have to press whatever, and I'm just go like this when I'm we're looking at the windshield, and I don't have to wait in 1 millisecond in looking at the wheel. So that was incredibly interesting, and so funny that the actual wheels, they actually look like video game controllers. They don't look real, but it's insane the amount of money that they spend in these cars. I know that obviously it's very expensive to build a car like this. I had no idea the amount of money. It was 130 million, something like that, around it. Obviously, sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. but it's a huge amount of money. I know they were expensive, but I had no idea they were like that expensive. And that's without taking into account like the driver's salary. That's another thing. Like what you have to pay those guys, it's more than that. But 100 millions just in the car. That's why they're like wonders of engineering. It's incredible. Obviously, like what they do is an insane thing. And once you see it, you're like, I can see why they're so expensive. But I had no idea they were like that costly. And I also had no idea that, I know they were like in constant communication, but I didn't know that it was just like one particular person that's just like the one that's communicating with the actual driver. And sometimes they're not even there because it's like, okay, so how many people are working on this? Because when you're like on the racetrack, you're seeing like this team of people behind the team, and this is like, I don't know, 30 people. But also there's like a bunch of other guys that you don't really see, that they're in the actual base, in the country's base. They're not even in the same country, and they're like working like behind the scenes, and there's like so many people there, and they're like running simulations. They're in constant communication. I had no idea the amount, like the scope of this operation. And on each race, it's incredible how many people are working on this. And this is just like this is Red Bull. Obviously, I'm guessing all the other teams are the same. So I have no idea, like, oh my God, it's like so many people that work in Formula One. It's insane. I had no idea of it. And it's an insane thing, like the whole computer thing. It's like she says, like it's a lot of technology that I think I wasn't aware of it. I know, because I knew obviously like in a very nebulous way that you have to like, yeah, obviously like there's a lot of technology involved in this in order to like make these cars what they're able like to do. But the fact that it's like they're running simulations, they have like this whole operation with these huge computers, like they said, like it looks like NASA. It's like, okay, that's insane. I had no idea that technology was that involved in the actual race of the car. I thought it was just like the driver and like the team, but yeah, of course it makes sense that they're using technology at their advantage and be like, hey, we ran the simulation and you have to like maybe like change the tires and something like that. They also have like so many tires, but at the end of the day, it's like they say, like you can run like as many simulations as you want, but at the end of the day, it is like the driver, like there's like a human touch that you obviously need. So like at the end of this, it's not like an android that's like driving this thing or the car drives itself. You do need like an actual driver, and at the end of the day, like the final decisions, the final calls are made by humans. So it's always like the little special touch that obviously like humans are in charge. So it's like a very interesting combination between technology and like the greatest like technology that you've ever seen, and actual like human touch. And also like it's very funny how because they have to like build a car to like your own body and stuff. I didn't know. Apparently like they weighed them in, and if you change it, I'm guessing like throughout the season you can't really like change much. Like you can't either gain weight or lose that much weight, because the thing is not gonna fit anymore. So because they have to like mold your body and your butt and your legs and everything. So it's like you can't really like, you have to be on a diet or something throughout the whole season in order to not to lose any weight or not to gain either. So it's like you have to like maintain a proper weight. No idea about that either. But it's really funny that you have to like actually like mold your own body. And I'm so shocked also by the position that they're in. It looks so uncomfortable. I thought they were like standing, and it's so weird. But it's like she said, like your legs are like higher than your hips. So it's like it looks so uncomfortable. How are these people driving to these speeds? And they're like in that sort of like in weird shape. I can't even believe it. To me, it's like incomprehensible. How are they driving like that within that position? It's so weird. But it's good that one of them, like the champion, says, it is weird. I'm aware it's uncomfortable. And the first time that you get into this, you're like, okay, this is not comfortable at all. And it's funny that he's also like, I do get scared sometimes. It is a very like, I'm guessing you feel like the little, like the thing in your belly, like when you're like going on a roller coaster or you're like, you have like vertigo. He's like, I do get it sometimes. It's not something that you like kind of get over it. So it is good for him to like actually also say that it's not something that you can get over. But it's also like incredibly funny to me that he's like, no, it is a very uncomfortable position. He's like, imagine like being, I want to be a race car driver, I want to be a Formula One driver, and once the moment you get into this car, you're like, wait, I have to be like this in throughout the whole race? No, I don't think I'm cut out for this because it's so uncomfortable. And she said it's very claustrophobic. You can't see anything. It's like you're like this, you're like standing, you can't see anything. There's nothing in your line of vision. It's insane to me. I'm like, seriously, I can't really understand it. So yeah, this was an incredibly interesting video. Hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did, and you found it like as interesting as I did. And that was it for today, and I'll see you soon. Bye.